The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on the Canna Connect show belong solely to the individuals and do not reflect those of Canna Connect and its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. Canna Connect does not promote or facilitate any activity that violates state or federal regulations. Everything you hear here is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal advice, it is not financial guidance, and it's definitely not medical direction. Seriously, don't take our word for it. Even if someone on the mic sounds like they know what they're talking about, and they're probably crazy smart too. Regardless of how legit our guests may be, you should always do your own homework, consult with your attorney, and understand the risk you're taking before you do anything when it comes to cannabis. Our intention is to keep it real. If you've got a problem with anything we've said, take us to court.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect show. I'm your host, Stephen Eigenman. Today, I am joined again on the show by Gus Sevastos, account executive at Dutchie. We are super amped to have you back, Gus.
Glad to be back.
Today, we're going to talk about all sorts of fun things, really. This was a really fun episode to wrap up the year with. Last night, we had the Canna Connect with Metrc event. What did you think of the event?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, it was great to have everybody together. A lot of people turned out, and I think a lot of people got information they really needed. So
yeah, awesome. And stick around to the end. We'll talk a little football, and we'll preview what we're doing next year. You debated doing the full suit?
The full suit, like same move, like just coming back and be like, well, nobody here saw me last night, so this outfit is still fresh to everybody else. But I said, no, I promised Manir I would wear my ugly sweater last night. I did not wear my ugly sweater last night, so here it is in all of its splendor and all of its glory.
You know, as of recording, or as of yesterday at least, we had like 162 YouTube subscribers. Pretty low.
Yeah.
But there were like 3 of them that were at the event last night. They're like, I watched the show. I love what you're doing with the lights. And I was just like touched in a way where I was like, wow, there's real people that are watching and then coming, and we're providing value through these events.
Yeah. It's the difference of somebody going like, hey, I love like your outfit today versus like, oh, Stephen, I read that paper you wrote in college about this and I thought it was fascinating. Like one is a much better compliment than the other, you know? And I think just people having a opportunity to see stuff like this, like get inspired by stuff like this. And then also like, hey, there's a community right here, like in Minnesota that we can actually engage with. It's not as, parasocial as you think of like with the typical like online like platform stuff where it's like, oh, like we see that, like this is, we can just be real, like right up here, like talking with people. Like this is about engagement. This is about like bringing the community together. And I just love what we've been able to do like together so far in like such a short time already.
Right.
You know, like just like being here to see what you guys have been able to do, what you've been able to pull off, and fun events like last night. Like it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I started planning this with you guys in August to what we pulled off last night was much more full spectrum of the idea. I mean, I remember talking to you about like getting products into the tablet that people could, select and then take away through the speakeasy bar.
Right.
And I had the gummy guy in mind, but I didn't have the hemp-derived, I didn't have the liquor license.
Right.
And there wasn't a hemp license available at the time. Moving it to steady pour, taking another month to plan it.
Mm-hmm.
Gummy guy was there.
Yeah.
He was just in the other room in the lounge.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt and Raiden Labs. And like, I didn't even make it into that room. Like there was so much happening in a good way.
Yeah. No, it was definitely, there was a little bit of moments where somebody came by and they're like, did you know there's a whole nother part of this like over here? It's like, where? In the back, there's people, there's tables, there's all this stuff. Everybody's hanging out. Like, this is going on. And I think it was cool to see, hey, we've got everybody in here for the panel, that's like trying to learn something about what's going on with the market. And then also like we have folks that are just like here's showing their business, like connecting with other folks that are also in the community or have been part of the Minnesota cannabis community for a long time. And it's just like, I've been coming to Minnesota since, goodness, last February now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all the familiar faces you start to see. It's very much like, wow, everybody's showing up and everybody's showing up consistently,
mm-hmm. So on the left, there was the local community, the locals that often are patronizing the Earl Giles Canna Club on a weekly basis. Through the work that I've done with you and the other vendors that are a part of Canna Connect, it's made me realize that I'm mostly connected to ancillary, non-plant touching. And to cut to the chase, like thousands of applicants, but they're all just a number. There's not just a place that you can reach out to all thousands of applicants. Recently, the OCM started to publish the licensed applicants, but even so, you're looking at 100 at the time of launch, less, but around 100. Getting the aspiring operators and the current operators into the room helped make them more than just a number. And that was that group of people had never been in the same room all together at once. That was the first time that it's happened. Yes, they may have been at Legacy Cup for a large consumption-focused event, been in the same park or the same area, the same brewery. This was the first large-scale panel opportunity for everyone.
Right.
Win-win-win.
Yeah. And I loved it too. And I think just to your point, it was really cool because I mentioned I've seen some familiar faces, some like that have been around, and then some that just opened up their businesses in the last few months that are part of that list that was published, right? And some people who they're just starting to plan out their build out or actually get up and running right now, right?
They've been chasing investor dollars up until now. They may not be plants in the ground until July.
Right. There may not, and everybody's in different various stages. We have a lot of people. I think this is going to continue to be kind of like a continuous rollout. I guess I was about to say a rolling rollout, and I'm like, well, we'll talk about redundant. But I think, when you look at it, everybody's going to be in similar stages. And the cool thing about where we are now compared to where we were at the beginning of the year is now there's other operators that can lead the way and also become leaders in the community just by nature of, hey, here's what I'm actually really dealing with right now versus I think the big challenge for a lot of the, the folks who have been awarded their licenses but haven't opened yet is it's very conceptual, right? To try to understand Metrc as an abstract, to try to understand that this is not just a retail environment, but a regulated one, right? I think, when you talked about, not making sure that we had everything we needed so the event space could have all the amenities we were looking for, right? It's all about compliance, right? Everything factors back into compliance. And so I think having people that can actually say, hey, this is what's here, or here's the rope, follow me up the mountain, right? The more that you can do that, the more that the community gets together, we'll start to have a stronger community because people could say, hey, here's pitfalls, here's challenges that I'm going to.
Right.
And yes, we're in a marketplace where we're competing technically because they're a business, I'm a business, we might be in the same town or something like that. But I think a stronger Minnesota cannabis industry overall for everybody is never going to be a bad thing.
No, never. And it's never easier. Effort versus impact right now is with the right intention. Strong effort makes a big impact.
100%.
And it's easier to differentiate yourself right now in all aspects. Maybe not in all aspects. Certainly, the closer you are to the plant and the further along you are in the license process.
Right.
And hopefully last night helped people in the licensing process, helped people in the supply chain process.
I feel like it did because, even the conversations I've heard from this event to the previous one where everybody's going, do you know who has product? Who has product? What's going on? Where's this? Where's anything I can get my hands on? To now being more about, okay, what are the actual problems we're facing, trying to sell this product? Certain things with parts of how we receive inventory or certain workflows that we're waiting for further guidance on, right? I think when you look at all those things, it's so important to come together, especially now because we're in phase one of the adult use Minnesota cannabis industry right now, right? So with that, we're in phase one. These rules that we have right now are the launch rules in a year, 2 years, more than likely. Most markets do some evaluation where they go, okay, that didn't make sense. We're going to re-clarify this point, or we're going to change this point, or this was a good idea, but the rollout didn't work. So we're going to pull this back or tweak this. That is common. That happens.
Yeah.
But the more that the other operators can talk to each other, the more they can understand some of these changes, how they might impact them. And also, together collectively as a whole, I think we can make more of an impact in, guiding the regulators and making sure that things like the OCM and the folks there can understand, hey, this is a good idea, but this is actually where we are in real time. How can we work together? How can we, because again, all about compliance. And I think it's easier to work with them, right? And make sure that we're following the rules and also saying hey, this is how it's explained. This is how it's actually rolled out. I think, again, it can't be a bad thing.
I'm starting to see some positive signs, not overwhelming,
right,
but indications that there may be some more fluidity in the relationship. It might start to feel more like a two-way street.
Yeah, and I think the challenge in a one-way street right now, like it can feel like, is it's about getting it out the door. It's about making sure everything is clear cut and identified, and then we can kind of worry about, once everything's pretty launched, like then we can worry about, okay, here's the little weird like things that maybe this wasn't like understood, or like this isn't a practical use case and we need to like tweak these things. I know, for example, like in Missouri a few years ago, when they flipped legislation to allow for adult use sales, one of the questions that came up to the regulator at an event I was at, not unlike the one we had last night, one of the questions brought to the regulator was, hey, I have employees that are, 18, 19, 20. On the medical side, I can hire them. If I'm also now a rec dispensary, technically I cannot employ them anymore. So what is the procedure there? Do I have to let these people go? Like, what does this look like? And the regulator that was there said, oh my goodness, yeah, let us get back to you on that, because that's not something we had considered, because in their mind it's, oh, everybody's 21, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are things that happen, but I think it's communication and like a good relationship, or at least trying to put the best foot forward.
Yep.
Like, it's not going to be a bad thing in the long run. And I think, like you said, we start to see a two-way street where, hey, there's a little bit more give and take. And I think we can get to a point where there's actual, like, we have enough of an established industry that there is collaboration between like the operators collective as a whole, and then the OCM and like other groups like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to call it, like good faith, intention, strong communication. Like, Spencer stresses communication is the number one thing, and that's true across all facets of your life. But we got these things going on, and since I've seen you last, the language in the CR, the McConnell language, kind of took an axe to, not just these things, but I would say the CBD industry, potentially microbreweries across the country that, have seen life through hemp beverages, things like that. We feel optimistic that they're going to continue, and that there's going to be a way to call it a carve out for edibles or beverages. Right. In Minnesota, we've outlawed vapes, we've outlawed frankennoids like the HHC, Delta 10, Delta P. You don't see that stuff. We've also outlawed THCA flower. That's the big one. That's the one that the state regulated markets are pretty upset about.
Yeah.
Because you just put an A on the end of it and you ship it in the mail, and you didn't have to get a license to do it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of nuance involved, right? Like, I think there's got to be a pathway for anybody that wants to participate in this, but I think like also too, like we need a framework for that pathway. And it just kind of brings about, again, like stressing, like we need some kind of like federal reform, right? Like we probably won't get it. It probably won't be perfect when it rolls out, right? But some kind of like, hey, as a baseline, here it is. You can do this, you can do that, you can't do that. Because I think the real problem of it isn't just that it's like, hey, this is here or this isn't here. It's, hey, if this isn't here, what does that mean? If this isn't here, what does that mean for the businesses that have been set up? What does that mean for those operators? What does that mean for, the communities where there might not be licensed cannabis space like this, where that is their main source of like, cannabinoids? Like if they're trying to like do some pain relief or some of those other things, right?
It can still be medicine at a low dose.
Exactly. And I think it's just, there's a way to navigate it, because it's just so complex, because it's this thing of, we need something that protects the entire industry, because it's just, they can, the way everything's written right now, and you start to see other states where they're having legislation spring up from like a grassroots of trying to undo like the cannabis amendments. Like I think Massachusetts, it's one of them. And I'm hearing some things about maybe some rumblings of some others too. And it's just, I think until there's a federal, like, hey, this is it, and your state can participate or your state can't, and then your state has the freedom to set up the rules that they want to set up. But by the way, you can do this. It's a product like anything else. We'll get there. Yeah. I don't know if we get there in 5 years. I don't know if we get there in 10 years, but you're already starting to see like, cannabis items like, the CBD, like, cannabinoid stuff like that. And just seeing all that kind of take over like alcohol in a lot of ways. Like we're seeing a lot of things where drinking is down, and that, like, I know I have siblings that are younger, and the youngest one in college, it's very much like, hey, like, what are you doing on the weekends? You going to parties?
Right.
You doing this?
Right.
No.
We're
We're not doing this. We're not doing that, which, I think is a good thing, right? Like I won't argue for like,
There are some parties that I probably should have skipped.
yeah, no, there's definitely like if I'm at a bar and I see certain bottles, there's definitely like a chill that will go through my spine. So I'd rather not have had to learn those lessons in the same token, but
Alcohol is a hell of a drug.
yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Among many.
Strong.
Yeah, strong.
Very strong.
I think too, it's not one of those things where like cannabis, like most people, you know, there's somebody that might like have an adverse reaction to it, might get a little paranoid, might get a little bit afraid, you know, like those kind of things, they happen. But I think for the most part, pretty like, you know, safe to just go like, hey, like if you're an of age adult and you would like to try this, like, and it's not going to mess up anything about your life.
Yeah.
Try it.
Slow and low.
Yeah, exactly. So like doing meats, slow and low. Exactly. So it's, I don't know. I
got a question for you though. I mean, because like you and I we don't work in Washington. You know,
Right.
we don't know what's really going to happen. But theoretically, from your position as it relates to your experience, like
yeah.
how much could descheduling positively affect banking, positively affect funding for an industry, as you've touched on this show in the past, where you've said, hey, this isn't the same era of a couple of years ago where you told someone you're starting a dispensary and here's an angel investor check.
Yeah.
We're in 2025, entering 2026. We're on the precipice of a reclassification. Where do you see it from a 280E perspective?
I think when you take a look at all that, right? My thing is, and I was actually thinking about this yesterday, and you know, we talk about the small business community in America, right? I would say that, you know, even when we're talking about, you know, some of the biggest like operators in the country, right? We're still not talking about somebody that's as big as a Target or on Amazon, right? So these are all still relatively small businesses. And I think when you think about that, it's like, this is a good way that we can like foster growth and all these other things. So why wouldn't you want to support a nascent industry in your country that's like helping certain people like build generational wealth, like in an opportunity they would never have had, or helping people, you know, with like social equity licenses, or just like those opportunities to be able to say, hey, like I was wrongly, you know, like imprisoned, or like, you know, just overly unjustifiably, like, you know, all these different conditions that come along with it. Here's a path for me to do something and like build a business in my community, give back to the community. Because a lot of these operators that I talk to,
Yeah.
they're not going like, oh, we're going to the city council and we're telling them that like, we're going to do this and that. And like, no, they're going to the city council saying, this is how we would like to be part of your community. You know, this is how we would like to be part of your town. Because it's not just like, they want to be seen as the same way as that shop on the corner that's been there.
Yeah.
You know,
Legitimized.
exactly. And I think that is the biggest thing to it, is if right now, when you explain it like case by case, it's like, I'm a small business owner. And if I tell you everything, and then you say, okay, what do you do when it comes time to file your taxes, right? Can you claim any deductibles? And like, no. Now I go from like, ooh, what kind of small business do you own, right? And so I think
Inexpensive.
we need to look at it that way. Yeah, an expensive one, exactly. And two, like I saw a chart just the other day from, I want to say it was like Headset or somebody,
Sure.
talking about the difference in like what the actual operator's profits are like by a market, and then what the impact that 280 could have. And you see that like a lot of those folks that are maybe not operating at a profit right now, like that would transform their business, like bottom line, dramatically, just to be able to have the same rights and permissions as any other like small business, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I think that is a good example of a small business, one that's not making any money.
Right.
And then there's also the larger entities in this space who you do business with.
Right.
And those are probably a medium-sized business. And I agree, they're not AT&T,
Right.
which is a large business.
Right.
And advertises every day across national airwaves, right? Curaleaf doesn't even have ads, TV ads, right? I mean, so we're at different scale. Getting more medium-sized businesses, getting more small businesses is good for America.
100%.
Studying this plant and allowing research and getting it on college campuses in some capacity it's already on college campuses.
Oh no, I mean, it's
in a different
I
way.
can speak to it being on college campuses in the, you know, early 2010s. But I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's not just the financial side, but it's like you were just alluding to there, the educational side, because that's the biggest gap. That's the biggest gap between like, ooh, like cannabis, like, oh, I don't know about that. And it's like, okay, like, What if you're somebody that's dealing with like certain ailments, or you don't want to take like a painkiller all the time? And I could tell you that you could take a gummy in the morning and just like maybe take the edge off of things, or just even like as like an adult able to make your own choices. It's just something you can choose to enjoy as well. There's a lot of different purposes for it. I think just educating people that this is not just, wacky tobacco. This isn't reefer anymore. Like, this is actually an industry. This is something that is serious. This is something that's legitimate.
Yeah.
And also this is something that, if you allow us to be fully part of the community, we will be fully part of the community. I don't know operators that keep to themselves and like don't do anything with their town, that don't find some way to give back. Like,
Wow.
talk to groups who like, they have a person, their whole job is like community outreach,
Right.
Right. So it's just, how do we help the industry to continue to foster that, with those changes that we can make? How do we make sure that that is like kind of the through line? Because that's the way I think we get to everything else that we're looking for. That's the way that we get to some kind of federal regulation. That's the way that we get to some kind of like safe banking regulation, right? Because there's a lot of things that operators can't do that every other business can do. And it doesn't necessarily put them at a disadvantage, because I think by and large, cannabis has always been a cash business, right? Most people expect that. But being able to have the same kind of like modern amenities that any other business can have, people just want and expect the same simplicity they get at this store everywhere else, and this online menu shopping experience everywhere else. Exactly. Tap to pay, in and out, like
Frictionless.
Exactly.
And Dutchie does its best to try to be frictionless
100%.
in the dispensary experience.
Yeah. There's a lot that we can do in that regard. And I think, we talked about, like, I know, for example, like my home dispensary, Rome dispensary up in Cleveland, they're about, I think 8 minutes from my house. And so I can just go and place my order after work. I can use pay by bank to like not have to worry about taking out cash or anything when I get there.
Okay.
And Ohio allows for drive-throughs at certain dispensaries. So the same way as I do like picking up a pizza or picking up like, anything, I ordered ahead, I drive around, I show them my ID, they check my medical verification, and then, I would say like normally it's less than 2 minutes I'm sitting there.
Wow.
And I'm on my way back home to enjoy.
What do they call that in the retail, as far as being able to turn tables per se?
Yeah, I think it's wait time and all those other guys for the customers, right? But for that, like, I don't know the fancy like business term you'd want to put it, right? I wish I had something. Yes.
I mean, I just think like there's so many metrics, there's so many, like we talked about last night, reports that Dutchie can help dispensaries but how does Dutchie help beyond dispensary?
Yeah. So when you think about things like, not just like the dispensary operators, but you start to think about cultivators, or you start to think about the folks that are doing manufacturing and processing, right? Taking that plant, turning it into other stuff that people love. We have a lot of things that we can do just on like a baseline level of, here's something you can use to run, track this, report everything to Metrc, do the conversions, like track the parts of the inventory Metrc doesn't, like your pre-rolls, your cones, that stuff for papers. We just unveiled something at MJ BizCon, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's called Connect and Nexus. So these are two new like parts of the system that are going to be launching here in the new year.
Yeah.
And so Connect is just what you were talking about. So that is for brands and for retailers. So I think one of the biggest challenges is, especially for the new operators, is, hey, I want to sell all this stuff, but I need to put all this stuff into my system to be able to sell it, right? We're already working with a large number of retailers across the country. We're already working with a large number of brands across the country. So it just makes sense to provide them with an option that makes it easy for them to get that information, update it within their system quickly, and then do things like, create purchase orders, or the brands can even reach out and connect with operators to say, hey, we're going to give you a discount on this product sold through to this amount. And if you do that, but now both the brand and the retailer have a report that's shared between the two, and they have accountability to see, okay, the retailer actually sold through all this, so we as the brand like have to deliver on that credit. Or, hey, you guys missed the thing by this much, like, so we're not going to like, super penalize you, but like we need to refigure out what this looks like. Or even stuff like, hey, the velocity that you're selling this at, you're going to sell out of this in 2 weeks. It takes them 2 weeks to fill an order.
Oh, wow.
Why don't we like prompt you guys to place a purchase order now?
Transparency through the supply chain.
Through the whole system, all working together. And the Nexus is the other wing of that, where operators and like the brands can see kind of all the different like insights to their business, right? So they can kind of see, okay, here's our sales velocity, like here's where we're moving compared to the historics from last year, all those things that you would expect, but then also some insights on this is moving, this isn't moving. Maybe like, let's put this in a discount, or things like with the Nexus agent, you can just start a prompt saying, hey, I want to do a promotion for my customers that haven't shopped here in a while.
Yeah.
It'll take that prompt. It'll go, cool, here's a couple different customer segments you should put in this, like, you know, outreach to that.
Yeah.
And then it can take that and then start to generate a template for you. You send out the template and just push out that email.
Yeah.
So it's not automating everything for you. Like, you still have the control, you still have the ability to engage with it. It can give you, you know, especially when we talk about smaller businesses who maybe they don't have somebody who's a data analysis, or you're just hopeful that like you have a good accountant or things like that, right? This allows you to get data that is just easy to see, easy to read, like reporting that's right there in front of you.
Okay.
And it's easy for me as somebody who does not run my own business to take a look at it, understand, and also be able to say, hey, maybe here's a few things we could look at. Maybe here's a few things we could try.
Great.
You know?
Yeah.
Just making that easier for operators.
And you guys rolled that out at MJ Biz?
Yeah, we rolled that out at MJ Biz. I think it's going to formally launch here in the new year. I know we've got, you know, the alpha, the beta testing, all that fun stuff.
Sure.
But
you announced it at MJ Biz.
Yeah. So it's good. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. And, you know, I think the pace that we've been at for the last like year and a half, where we've been doing a major update, I would say almost like every 6 months, it feels like.
Wow.
A lot of the things that I talk about in a concept become reality. And that's really cool to see too, where 4 years ago when I started with Dutchie, it was, here's the things that we can do for you. And now I have so many more things that we can do for operators. And it's really cool because it's not just, hey, I have this and I can, you know, I'm a salesperson, right? Sorry, everybody, if you have prejudice against salespeople, I get it. But it's also that thing of, you know, it's exciting because I actually believe in the system. Like, it's not this thing of, that we're selling, you know, Camrys, right? Like, no, like the reason I'm at Dutchie is because I believe in the power of the platform that we have.
Amazing.
And the decisions that we make, like, just kind of reinforce to me, like, what I'm excited about and what gets me excited, like, going into 2026 with them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's good. I like that. That's Jake, if you're watching, you got a good one.
Jake, if you're watching, please no more Oasis.
But I gotta ask, what's going on in Ohio?
Oh man. So Ohio's fun. I think it's again, we talk about the power of having a community within the industry, like being able to speak to the legislature, having a good relationship with your regulatory body, right?
Are they the OCM in Ohio? The OCO? What is it?
So our OCM is called the DCC, the Department of Cannabis Control.
Okay.
So we moved, the system started, I should say the program started under the Board of Pharmacy in the state, and then we moved to the Department of Revenue at the passing of the adult use legislation a few years ago. So
how long was medical online prior to?
I want to say it was technically, since we launched, what was it, last summer, it was 5 years. So we had some operators that got up and running in like 2019.
Was that the Nick Lachey bill around that time?
So that was 2015.
Okay.
And I remember that because everybody's like, oh my God, legalization, it's coming to Ohio, vote on it. We were all so excited. And then we started to take a look at it and we realized, oh, there's only going to be like 10 people. And one of them is the guy from 98 Degrees. And look, like, I've had to watch a lot of seasons of Love is Blind, so I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong in not wanting him to have more power than he already has, right?
Yeah.
No, Love is Blind is...
Catch the Minneapolis Love is Blind 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've seen everyone. I've seen everyone, and I do it the same way that I feel like a lot of people do it out there, where they start watching the first episode, it's like, nobody's gonna find love. And then somebody does, and you're like, oh my God, they're gonna make it. And then they don't, and then you're just like, oh, is anything real? Like, this is my wife and I, who are like, you know, we're just like sitting next to each other. We're like, is love even real? As we're just like, you know, just happily married. It's so fun to get vicariously through some of those shows, you know. But again, like, going back to the bill, Nick Lachey should not have that kind of power. So.
And the medical program came after that power ultimately didn't happen. Yeah.
So I think we got it done through the actual like state versus legislation.
Oh, yeah.
So they created the program, and then the legislation in 2023, like that was issue 2. Voted yes on issue 2. I want to say it passed with like 57% of the vote. And then with that created the program. So we had that. The DCC rolled out some rules, and now we just had the state legislature pass Senate Bill 56.
Okay.
So that has made some changes to how certain things are done, taken away some of the provision around home grows. It's taken away, a couple different things that were there for like the personal use side. It's changed some things on the business side as well. Like potency limits are in the product now. And then also I think we're going through and changing out some strain names too.
Oh,
I think like they're trying to avoid like certain ones or certain legacy strains.
too cartoonish or
That kind of stuff. And then I think just some other things too. Like, I mean, look, we all know there's some fun ones out there, and I think they're just saying like, hey, these ones that are like a little, like a little out in left field.
the one from Alaska, yeah.
Yeah. ATF and some of the other fun ones, what is it, Cheetah Pea and all that other stuff. Like there's a lot of them, and
I see. You can't sell those at Target.
no, can't sell those at Target at all. No, it just reminds me of this one movie I watched where it's like it's Jesse Plemons is like somebody's weed dealer, and so he's explaining all the different strain names to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, what's this one? Tell me about this strain. Tell me about this strain." He's like, "Dude, this is all weed," And I think to some degree, like there's certain things we could call stuff, but we were talking about this last night. Like some of the things that we call things are completely different terp profiles than like the original plant that like those original strains that were back there. Like there is no more, how is it? There's always that meme of, you're never going to get the OG sour diesel back. Like it's gone.
Yeah.
Like don't even.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Or the haze.
Yeah.
Haze disappeared for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Where are edible limits at with respect to Ohio now?
So we're pretty much a 10 milligram state. So if you go to, like Michigan, you can find edibles that are like 20 milligrams. I know there's operators in Missouri who do like the big, somebody had like a big like 200 milligram edible.
Yeah, sure.
And that's, that's a whole weekend, right? But yeah, we have a 10 milligram like edible dosage. It's pretty consistent, but we can have things like tinctures. We can have like, there's no limit on what kind of edibles. So you can have chocolates, you can have gummies, you can have this and that. I think it's obviously just the same kind of things that you want to see, avoiding anything that looks like anything that is like too candy-ish or stuff like that, or making sure it's all clearly labeled, as in the regulations.
So hearing you refer to edibles are capped at 10 milligrams per piece.
Mm-hmm.
And because we live in a world where everything is happening all at once, I can't help but think that the hemp wave, the low-dose cannabis industry, or the low-dose cannabis set of rules, Minnesota cannabis,
right?
Minnesota hemp has an effect on society. Yes, there's SAM that's going to do their best to just prohibit cannabis.
Right.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about maybe people that are in the state regulated markets looking over the fence at their neighbor in hemp, and then feeling more comfortable if edibles are just the big brother of that.
Yeah. I think there's always going to be, I think the challenge is that there's not a lot of people that weren't in the industry participating in the industry. So I think people who, like when you think about who are the product testers, who are the people that we're not just going like and taking edibles to like a senior living community and going, hey, let's try some fun candy, right? Like it's very much, you need to know somebody, like it's not a thing. And then like people just get a little scared because it's a new thing for them. And sometimes it is your mindset, like while using the plant can affect things. So I think anything that you have almost like a light pathway. I mean, look, it's America. We love diet soda, right? Like we want something that is seen as a lighter version, seen as something that's more of like the, like this is something that is a bridge between the two, right? Where I can feel a little bit more comfortable trying that. And then if I like that, maybe then I can move up into like the actual like flowering plant, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who enjoy a beverage like every now and again, and that's going to be perfect for them. And there's people that are going to enjoy a beverage and go, oh my God, I want to try what edibles are like, or oh my goodness,
That's why I used to call it the PG-13 versus the R-rated market, because eventually you learn to watch the R-rated movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just about, can you handle the R-rated movies, you know?
But just because you watch an R-rated movie doesn't mean that you might not want to go back and watch Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, no, 100%. Happy Gilmore rocks. Like, it's still a great, like, it still holds up. I would say I'm kind of a Waterboy guy too. That one's my like pinnacle.
Yeah.
And I think what we were talking about, the other guys out there, right? So,
You know what Waterboy reminds me of? Football.
yeah. Oh no, I set myself up, didn't I? Set myself up with that.
Luckily, we only have a little bit more time.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
But when you and I first met in real life,
Uh-huh.
it was September.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of optimism in the air on the field. You were getting ready to go, not to a wedding, but to a Vikings versus Browns football game in London. How'd that go?
Oh, not great. Not great at all. It's always fun when you can watch Carson Wentz get hurt before the half and then somehow with, let's say, no arms, come back and throw a touchdown pass in the last few minutes of the game to seal the deal. So I was there with one of my friends from high school who said, well, I'm so glad we traveled 8,000 miles for this. And look, we went to go to London. It's the Browns. You kind of just hope for the best, you know? That was one of those ones we came up short, and most weeks that I've been sitting in my seat at the Cleveland Browns Stadium, aka the Factory of Sadness, we have come up pretty darn short. But maybe there's hope in Shadur Sanders, and yeah, maybe Myles Garrett breaks the sack record this year. Right. So it will be a record-breaking season for Cleveland for some amount of reason.
One way,
yeah,
or the other,
or another. We're gonna break something. So either the records or the hearts of every football fan in Cleveland again. But that's what we have Ohio State for.
That's what you have Ohio State for.
That's why I jokingly say, like, why does everybody in Ohio love Ohio State? It's like, because that's the one football team we all can share.
Right.
It actually wins most of the time.
Right.
So on Saturdays, you're technically pretty happy.
Ohio State is very good at football.
They can be. Sometimes they make you worry. You know, but hey, Indiana, you know,
good team.
Mendoza's the real deal, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, and that's a good game, and that makes me excited for the college football playoff because I like it when it's competitive. I like it when it's not oh my God, it's the Patriots. Oh my God, it's the Chiefs. Like, I like it when it's anybody, but also college football is just like fun and engaging. So, you know, it's different than. Well, I was about to say it's different than when you're making millions of dollars, but I think with some kids are
making millions of dollars
already. So
what? When does CFP kick off?
I want to say first game is like the 28th or 29th.
Okay.
Coming up.
And who's Ohio State facing first off?
So we have first round bye. So
oh, you do even with the. Because you guys only
lost to the Big Ten champion.
Oh, you guys went undefeated. You beat Michigan.
We beat Michigan.
Did you hear what's going on in Michigan?
Let's not talk about that one. I don't want to touch that one. I just it's a good. I had my let me put it in perspective. I have a friend that went to Penn State, and between that and a bunch of other stuff that happened in football with like Ohio State losing and some other things, he said it was the best like sports week of his life. So. I don't know. I think it's always fun. And I think too, much like sports, like I think cannabis is like an opportunity for us to bring people together, right? Because it's the same kind of thing as like, oh, this is my team, this is your team. Well, we both love football, right? Like, oh, I'm an edibles person. Like, oh, I'm a low dose person. Well, guess what? We both love cannabis, right?
Right.
We both care about this industry. So how do we help educate the people that don't know enough about cannabis to feel at least comfortable with it? Like being in their world,
yeah,
right? Because there's still going to be people that you can tell them everything and they go, great, but it's still not for me.
Yep.
But I think like removing a lot of the fear around it, removing a lot of like the lack of clarity around like what this is, what this does, what this could actually be like used for, what this can do within the community,
yeah,
right? I think those are the areas that if we start focusing on those, I think we get the rest of everything that we're looking to achieve as an industry.
Yeah.
It's just education is going to be that's the biggest gap because we proved it works. We proved that we have everything we need. Like we proved that we can survive with all the businesses like Amara Remedy has, and that will work in cannabis. And now it's just, okay, how do we educate the general public and people in Congress and people in local state legislatures to understand that this can actually be a very good thing and can actually be like a positive, like, you know, force for change within your community? And how do we bring the two together? How do we make allies out of the people that are our skeptics right now? And how do we help them see that like, even if it's not their thing, like it's still something we could support or something we could get behind or something at the very least we could just leave alone, you know?
Right. You know, I'm not even going to preface it. I'm just going to say it. The video that was shared on Truth Social that was pro CBD was incredible.
It's incredible to see. I'm always skeptical that it goes anywhere versus being a little bit of like manna for the people, right? But in the same token, just the fact that, yeah, we had the American president go like, hey, I think this might be good for like some of the people that are older like me. It's like, holy shit, like, wow. Like, it's the same as I was on my honeymoon a few years ago, and that was when we got the original like rescheduling, like, you know, statement from Biden. And it's just like,
Oh yeah.
oh my God. Like, I remember 10 years before this just being like, oh, nobody can ever know that I smoke weed. And now it's just a thing of, yes, I proudly work in the cannabis industry. Like, I'd love to talk to you about my favorite strains or my favorite ways to like enjoy the products, or like what's out there, who I think is good, like what I actually personally enjoy. You know, now it's something I'm like proudly talking about with folks and also trying to help.
Like the Cole memo with the DEA not going into states with legal cannabis during the Obama era.
Yeah.
It's incremental progress.
And that's the thing. I think it's not going to be overnight, but you know, that's why I don't say like next year everything's going to be fixed. It's we're 5-10 years out, but I think when we're at that 10-year mark, they talk about us in the same way that they talk about like, you know, the alcohol industry, or they talk about us the same way that they talk about any kind of like, you know, just like produced good. And we'll get there. We'll get there. I do believe that we'll get there, because I don't think you can put this genie back in the bottle.
Right.
You know, like the states that are trying to remove some things, I think unless there's like something that like actually happens, that's a, you know, a cause to actually rally around to change something like that. I just see it being as thing as, if you don't like it, you don't have to participate. And if you don't want it around you, I think there's fair consideration. Like, you know, there's just common sense stuff that I think most people can agree upon. I think the hard part is feeling like some of the people that are setting things up, you know, do not necessarily have like the full story, right? Or the full understanding that would help better inform legislation or better inform like guidelines that are actually stuff that can help sustain the industry.
Yeah, I love that. I also love chatting with you. I'd love to do it again in 2026. We'll keep an eye on all things cannabis here in Minnesota as well as Ohio. And
absolutely
appreciate you coming out to support Canna Connect. And
always happy.
You know, the Vikings, the Gophers, hey, at least we have Canna Connect.
Hey, at least we have Canna Connect. Yeah. And, you know, it's, there's always next year, right? So maybe next year when we're having this, when we're doing the end of year review, somebody out there mark this, but when we're doing it next year, maybe we're talking about both of our teams, maybe having, I won't say being in the playoffs for sure. Right. It's still the Cleveland Browns, but I'll say having definite playoff hopes. How about that?
Sure. So, yeah. I know Natalie appreciates that as a fellow NFL season ticket holder. So
yeah.
It's
my first year as a season ticket holder.
Oh wow!
And it will be my last. It will be my last. So the Browns did it to me, man. They really did. So
Gus Sevastos, senior account executive with Dutchie. If they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach out?
So I know we'll post this on LinkedIn, so my LinkedIn profile will be there. It's a great way to reach out to me generally. And then I think, you know,
we'll have it on YouTube. We'll make sure to have a link out.
Yeah, a link out to like that. And I know I have put my number and my email at the bottom there.
281-330-8004.
Mike Jones. Yes, that is also how you can reach me.
This is the Canna Connect show. We'll be right back.